doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. Okay, so today's game is actually it's a sequel to one of the most important arcade titles of all time. It's a game that a sequel to a game that I've already discussed earlier in the summer of 8-Bit, and in my opinion, it's one of the most underappreciated arcade titles that was produced during that quote-unquote golden age of arcades. This game is from 1982. The NES port was one of the earlier NES titles. It's one of the small handful of games in the Arcade Classics series. And it's one of the black box games on the NES. Today's game, Donkey Kong Jr. Now, Donkey Kong Jr. picks up after the events of the first game, apparently, and Mario succeeds in capturing Donkey Kong, and he cages Donkey Kong. And Donkey Kong's son, DK Jr., goes on a quest to rescue his father from the clutches of Mario. Now, the noteworthy thing about this game is it may be the only time in video game history where Mario played a villain. In this game, Mario is, much like Donkey Kong was on the first game, positioned at the top of the screen, and he, instead of throwing barrels like Donkey Kong did, he sends different enemies after Donkey Kong Jr. He'll send different animals. He releases these electric sparks on one stage, stuff like that. This game is a platformer in one of the purest senses of the word. Donkey Kong Jr. runs and jumps. He has to grab moving platforms. Grab ropes attached to moving platforms, things like that. And there's the falling hazard from the first game. It returns. But Donkey Kong Jr. doesn't have the luxury of the hammer that Donkey Kong had. So in many ways, this game may be a little bit harder than the original Donkey Kong. And Donkey Kong Jr. moves a little bit slower. His steps are a little more plodding, things like that. So there's that problem as well. The graphics are, I would say, they're on par with the arcade version of the game, so it's a pretty spot-on port. And as far as I know, I don't remember if they took any levels out of this like they did with Donkey Kong, but I do know that Nintendo omitted the cutscenes from this game. Because there's a cutscene at the beginning of the game. There's different things sprinkled around in the cartridge that you can find if you look hard enough. Well, that are in the arcade game that you'll find, but they're not in the cartridge. So, is it arcade perfect? No, but is it a solid port of a classic arcade game that doesn't get the respect it deserves? Yes. Do I recommend Donkey Kong Jr.? Yes, I do. Actually, I like Donkey Kong Jr. a little more than I like Donkey Kong, for whatever reason. And the black box cartridge isn't the only place to find it, because you can also, it was also packaged with Donkey Kong on the Donkey Kong Classics cart on the NES as well, the one that I talked about in my Donkey Kong video. So, if you don't already have a copy of Donkey Kong Jr. and you don't have a copy of the original Donkey Kong, that kills two birds with one stone. Now, if you don't need the copy of Donkey Kong and you're looking for a copy of Donkey Kong Jr., go after the black box cart. it's an excellent title, like I said, and both ports on the Classics cart and the Black Label cart are spot on. This has been 8-Bit Animal, and I will catch you beautiful people tomorrow.